Hey everybody, Brent Warner here. So let's be honest, differentiation has definitely been one of those things that we've been told to do for years, but with what time? So between grading, planning, managing everything else, it just really feels like it's impossible to customize content learning for every single student. But something has changed, which is great, of course. For the first time, we have a realistic way to make it happen without losing our weekends. So right now, AI gives us a brand new opportunity to create customized level differentiated materials in just a few minutes. And no, it's not about being techie. It's about finally having access to tools that work for the insane demands that are put on teachers. So imagine this. You've got an athlete, a gamer, an engineer, and they're all studying the same concepts, but wrapped in a context that they know is built just for them. That kind of connection and that kind of engagement can change everything. Now, for years, we've been asked to differentiate without the time, tools, or support, and now we finally can. I've been teaching multilingual learners for over 20 years, real students, real classrooms, and real challenges. And like many of you, I've had to figure out how to differentiate, how to engage students, and integrate technology on the fly. And too many times that was without enough time, training, or support. So over the years, I started sharing what worked, and first I was doing it with colleagues, then at conferences, and eventually with educators around the world. I've trained thousands of teachers, delivered keynotes, and stayed deeply connected to the day-to-day work of language teaching through the two podcasts I co-host. Many of you might be familiar with the DIESOL podcast if you're a language teacher. One thing I kept hearing over and over again from teachers, just give me something that actually works, something I can use tomorrow. So that's been my mission ever since, and finding what's practical and easy to implement and actually helpful for both you and your students has always been my goal. I believe that good teaching tools shouldn't make your life harder. They should lighten your load and not add to it, and that's what I focus on every day. So let me show you exactly how real differentiation can work. Okay, so let's imagine that we have collected information about our students. You can do this very easily with a Google form, but let's imagine this is a spreadsheet about my students. By the way, of course, these are fake students. These are not real people. And you might want to be a little bit careful about using AI with personally identifiable information. So perhaps you have this information, but you might want to take out things like their last name, maybe make sure that their email address is connected to the school or something like that. Just be a little bit careful with it. Make sure that you know what's okay and what's not okay for your settings. But let's imagine that I've collected this information from my students, so we can kind of see the students' names are here, who their favorite athletes are, their favorite musicians, actors, actresses, pets, where they're from, and their CEFR level as well, which perhaps I put in after the fact if I've kind of worked with my students and I have an understanding of their English language level. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to extensions, and I'm going to use a tool called GPT for Sheets, which you can go find in the Chrome store. When I open it, you'll see it pop up on the right-hand side. Now, to be clear, this is not a free resource. It does cost a little bit of money, but I put in something like $20 or $30 into it, and I've been able to use it for years. It really only takes pennies every time you run it, if that. You can see pretty quickly how it works once you log in and look at everything, but it does look a little bit intimidating. So I'm going to show you exactly what happens here. With your spreadsheet here, you can actually plug in a very basic formula and use that formula to create a custom story. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So you do not have to be a spreadsheet wizard, but let's just slow down for just a minute to kind of see what this looks like and what this is actually saying. So here you can see that the formula is asking to write a 150-word short story for a CEFR, and then it's I2, so it's going to be I and then finding the 2, and that's going to be this student. It's going to pull in the B1 information. So a CEFR and then column I2, and then it's going to say student about the time A2, so that's the student's name, met E2, that's their favorite athlete, in D2, that's the city that they came from, and make sure to include the vocabulary words encounter, request, and chuckle. So I'm going to take that prompt and I'm going to plug it directly into my story box here. And when I paste this in using GPT for Sheets, I'll hit the enter button and you'll see that it will start loading that story. Now don't worry when it says loading data error over here, it'll take just a second. And now we've got this prompt. So it says, Miguel was a big fan of soccer, especially of Lionel Messi. On one sunny day in Mexico City, he had a surprising encounter, right? And remember, encounter was one of our words. While walking in the park, he saw Messi sitting on a bench looking relaxed. Miguel, again, that's my student, couldn't believe his eyes. With a racing heart, he approached Messi and made a polite request, "Excuse me, Mr. Messi, can I take a picture?" And he smiled and said, "Of course." It goes on and on, right? Now, you can see what's going on. There are the vocabulary words that we were looking for, chuckled, etc. And now I have this short story at the level for my student involving the things that they are interested in. But here's where the real magic comes. Just like you can do with any spreadsheet, if I click and drag at the bottom, it's going to copy those formulas and move them across for every person. So when I drag it down and get a few more of my students' stories going here, you'll be able to see that it's going to connect it directly to what they were interested in. So here now I've got the story about Arav, and it says he was in Mumbai for a cricket match. He hoped to see his favorite player, Virat. I've got Yao Ming, who had the opportunity to meet the student had the opportunity to meet Yao Ming, etc., etc., etc. So every single student now has a completely differentiated story covering the same ideas and using the same vocabulary words, but also matching their English level and customized towards exactly what they are interested in. So you can see so quickly here how a tool like this can make all the difference in customizing information for all of your students. And all you have to do is then copy it and move it into whatever information that you're looking for. Of course, if you want to make that a little bit faster, we'll talk about that in the next video as well. You can see here just to get the first ideas of how much you can do to make really interesting custom information for all of your students on whatever assignment you're thinking about. Take a look at it. Remember that you can go to brentgwarner.com/differentiate and get the whole walkthrough on how to do this. No signups or anything necessary if you don't want to. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, this looks cool, but I can't remember and I just don't have the time to learn a whole new system, I totally get it. That's one of the most common things that I hear. So I provided a step-by-step written version of this for you at brentgwarner.com/differentiate. So you can go back, check, and go through the steps as you please at your own time. And just remember that setup only has to happen once, and then you've built your own reusable content engine. You'll be able to update it for different units, different skills, and even different classes. Other people might worry, well, is the AI really that reliable? Can it create quality materials? And it's definitely a fair concern, but with the right prompts and your own teacher instinct as a filter, it becomes incredibly effective, and it's a tool that you can use that works with you. Even if you're not super confident with tech, that's totally fine. Like I said, you can slowly go through step by step, and all you need is access to Google Sheets, Google Docs, and just a little bit of curiosity. Now that you've got differentiated content based on student interests, the next step is helping your students actually do something meaningful with it. So in the next video, I'll show you how to turn that content into a student-centered writing activity so your learners aren't just consuming material, but they're building their voice, confidence, and their academic language if that's what's important to them. Plus, I'll show you how to choose tools that support this kind of work without adding more to your plate. And in fact, the right tools can help you save a lot of time, not lose it. That's all coming soon, and I can't wait to share it with you. I'd love to hear from you. What's the one thing that made a differentiation hard for you in the past? Drop a comment wherever you're watching this, if it's at brentgwarner.com/differentiate, if it's on the socials, or you can of course reply by email if you got this in an email. I read every response, and your insight helps shape what's coming next. And if you want to make sure you don't miss the next video, head over to brentgwarner.com/updates and sign up for updates. I'll send you everything directly, including the templates and the guides. Thanks so much, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you soon.